guys, welcome back to another video. If you're new here, I'm May, or Latte, and I've been an artist basically my entire life. Younger me was very easily inspired and loved the feeling of creating things, creating characters, creating worlds, and I was having a lot of fun with it. While art was something that always kind of came naturally to me because of how much I loved it, when I look back at my general skill level around the time of adolescence, early adulthood, and up to where I am now, I have to admit that there are some regrets that I have, or things I just wish I could have done a little bit differently, so that I could have taken the potential that I feel like I had and used it more to the full. I just wish so much that I could just go back in time and guide my younger self in how to properly nurture this skill, what mistakes to avoid, and how to still have fun with it while, studying and trying to improve and be better. But I just have to make peace with the fact that she's not here anymore, so I have to do my best to take my own advice at my current point in life to make things right with myself. So in this video, I wanted to share some art tips that my younger self really could have benefited from, so that if there are any young artists listening now, hopefully you might be able to benefit from this advice instead. And while I share these tips, I'll be trying to put into practice some of my own advice by doing some digital art sketching and studies, because I should be doing more of that. Feel free to draw alongside me, or just listen, or whatever you'd like to do. The first and probably the most important thing I would tell my younger self is just to study the fundamentals. And that means practice realism, practice how to sketch, learn color theory, study lighting, perspective, anatomy like human anatomy and animal anatomy, character design basics, and storytelling. I think it is so crucial, first of all, to learn how to sketch. I used to be kind of overconfident with my art, and I would typically just dive right into every piece, and I didn't understand the concept of ugly stages of an art piece, so I just wanted it to look good right away, and I think that's why I did that. I also don't think I was even really aware yet of the concept of laying down broad shapes first and then carving out the little details later on. I don't think I was really aware of it even yet. So when you don't understand the logistics of how to make a simple sketch and you skip fundamental building blocks of a drawing just to make it look good as quick as possible, you may be missing out on crucial steps of the drawing process, because this is the stage where you learn the most basic skills that help you pretty much draw anything, because you're kind of building the muscle memory that you're going to use for future drawings. Because no matter what you draw, most things in life can be boiled down to a few very simple shapes. This is more of a piece of advice I would probably give myself in middle school rather than any younger, just because when you're a young kid, I think art really, it should just be for fun and not be any cause for stress or anything. But by middle school, I do believe that that's when my skills were developed well enough that I really should have been putting more effort into studying basic fundamentals, and I feel like I would have improved greatly by then. I really wish I had somebody at the time, be it an art YouTuber or someone or an artist friend, who could have taught me how to learn to use colors effectively, the basic elements that make a good character design, and how to properly study things like anatomy, breaking things down to their simplest form and carving out the details later on. Back then, YouTube was still pretty new, so I don't know how many resources I probably even had access to back then compared to today, where I feel like there's a wealth of this kind of information available for free to anyone. But then again too, I feel like I didn't really have the discipline to study and learn like that back then. I was more focused on just having fun, and I was convinced that I could just learn everything I needed to just by drawing whatever I wanted. But that is exactly why I wish more than anything I could go back in time and just shake myself and be like, you have so much potential, but you're not using it. You're also not as good as you think you are. Please just study the fundamentals like you're an absolute beginner, because you kind of are. You got this, girl. You have the potential. You just have to use it. The second tip I really wish I could tell my younger self is to use references, because it's not cheating. This is another thing that younger me just did not want to hear for some reason. I distinctly remember when my art teacher would preach this, and I would just internally roll my eyes as if it was something I was above, when it's precisely studying references that had taught me how to learn to draw in the first place. Back when I would, as a young kid, pause my VHS tapes and draw what was on the TV screen. I do believe I have a keen eye for references and a good attention to detail, which helps me to be able to copy things fairly accurately, and I think that's a good skill. But somewhere along the way, I lost touch with that method, because by that point, I think probably like the people around me had praised me so much that I just thought I was so incredibly gifted on my own and didn't need to learn these fundamental things like other people. But yeah, references are so important, and it is not cheating. It bothers me so much now whenever I hear anyone be like, oh no, I want to train my hand and my mind to draw without needing a reference. I know where you're going for with this goal that you would like to just be self-sustaining as an artist and be able to draw anything. That's what that means. But I honestly think that's such a naive beginner mindset, especially now that I know the most skilled god level artists that I follow use references all the time for almost every drawing. It wasn't until I think think I even saw that it really fully sunk into me, the realization that references are so important and beneficial. And that was just like a couple years ago, basically. Anyone can prove it to themselves by doing the simple challenge of just drawing something from your mind and then drawing that same thing from reference. The difference is staggering, and it's literally not cheating, it's just how you learn. And yeah, you can probably get to the point where you rely on references a little bit less over time by studying a certain subject a lot, but no artist ever just has a complete 100% picture perfect, complete mental library. References are and always will be one of the strongest assets to any master artist or developing artist. The only thing that is actually cheating would be tracing and claiming it as your own, or using any generative AI garbage. But yeah, I really wish I could go back in time and really emphasize the importance of references to my younger self, because she really needed them. The next thing I really wish I could tell my younger self is that not everything has to be perfect, and also stop comparing yourself to other people. I'm combining those two into one tip because they seem kind of unrelated, but I don't know, to me they kind of go hand in hand, because those two things are some of the hardest things to put into practice, but they're some of the most important tips that a young artist can internalize, because my goodness, perfectionism has had its grip on me since a very young age. Like I mentioned earlier, every single drawing that I drew, it had to be like very pretty from the start to the end. Like I don't think most of my drawings had like ugly, sketchy phases, because I just didn't like that. If my drawing was like turning out ugly, it was hard for me to like be motivated to finish it, because I was just like, oh, I'm messing it up already. But I didn't really understand that that's just part of the process. Also, yeah, comparison too, especially in the age of social media, that's been a hard one for me personally, definitely, to try to overcome, just because there are so many super amazing, beautiful artists with amazing work out there. I feel like our minds are just inclined to compare whether we like it or not, and it can be so easy to get discouraged. It's detrimental to a young artist especially, or any artist really. I really wish I could go back and tell my younger self that there is so much beauty in imperfection and in incomplete drawings, unfinished ideas, messy sketchbooks. There's just all of the effort behind it is really what makes it beautiful, and trying to make everything perfect it's just not realistic, and it's kind of harmful. To create is to be human, and that is all just part of the creative process. And please do not compare your work to other people's. That's so unfair to yourself. That's unfair to other people. You have to recognize the beauty in your own work, because only you can make it, and you have to believe that you do have beauty in your work, even if you don't believe it. I'm telling you that it's true. Another piece of advice that younger me really could have benefited from is to be more receptive to criticism and be more willing to learn. In other words, humble yourself a little bit, because you don't know everything, and not only are you so young, you have so much to learn. Even me at my age now, I'm a little older than you are, but I'm still kind of young, and I still have so much to learn myself. That's what I would say to my younger self. So in my defense, I was kind of a sensitive kid, and I do remember that there were some points here and there, especially in elementary school, that sometimes I would get some criticism from other kids about my art, and it was kind of like overly harsh and not that constructive. In the face of that kind of feedback, it's natural to want to like dismiss it, push back, bite back, and insist on my own way being right. Things like that do not help a developing artist, because I feel like it's partly because of criticism like that I may have closed myself off a little bit later in life from hearing any kind of criticism, even if it was constructive and helpful. I really wish I could tell myself how important it is to humble yourself and find the littlest things that you just might be able to improve on, even if that criticism isn't easy to take. Like if it's on a piece that you really like and you really think is good. And if you're having trouble figuring out how to improve the way that people are suggesting, perhaps ask more questions, ask people who are more experienced than you to demonstrate a solution for you. Being mean doesn't help anybody, so let's not do that, because when you're being mean to other people and their art, like, you might do them a disservice like later down the road. They might be less open to criticism just because somebody was mean to them at some point in their life. So let's just kind of be upbuilding and constructive one another. You don't have to take every little bit of criticism. You know, you're allowed to take all criticism, hear it, learn to recognize like, oh yeah, this is useful for me, or you know what, like I appreciate this advice. I don't think it's useful for me, but I appreciate it, but I'm gonna set it aside for now. That does get easier easier inherently when you get older, but I don't know, criticism is still important when you're young. It's important to be humble while you're young and willing to learn, because when you're willing and open to learn, you'll learn more than someone who is not open to learning. Oh my gosh, I can't believe it's already the end of the video already. I actually have so many more notes that I wish I could share, but you know what? I think this will be a good opportunity to make a part 2 video somewhere down the road. So that is going to be the tips I share for this video, and I will save the rest of my advice from my younger self for a future sequel. Thank you so much for watching all the way to the end. I really appreciate it. Please don't forget to give the video a like if you enjoyed it, subscribe if you're interested in seeing more stuff from me, and comment letting me know your thoughts, because I love hearing your guys' thoughts. See you next time. Bye-bye!